Welcome back. When it comes to Karnataka, we have talked about potholes, IT jobs, language wars, fight for the Chief Minister's chair, and so much more. But today, let's talk about something that should hurt us all. A father's pain and a system that failed him completely. A poignant social media post by a retired public sector officer has triggered widespread outrage after he described the rampant corruption he faced following the death of his only daughter, Akshara, who died on the 18th of September. Akshara was also somebody very popular on X, and she would give a lot of quizzes for users of X to participate in. As per police sources, the post-mortem was conducted as the deceased was brought dead to the hospital. Now, in this post by her father, which has now been deleted, K. Sivakumar recounted how he was forced to pay bribes at every step, from the ambulance service to the police station to the crematorium and even BBMP office, to obtain necessary documents and services. Now, this is not just about corruption, but about a cruel system that asks for money instead of showing humanity. And this is not unusual. It happens a lot in this country. Maybe many of us who have faced this would also know, and we have all faced this in some form or the other. But who really is responsible for a system that's corrupt and continues to be brutal with the most vulnerable? Is it because corruption has been so normalized at senior levels of politics and bureaucracy in some states that people at lower levels feel that it's completely usual and it's par for the course? Let's not forget that this is the worst kind of corruption that a country could have, because it comes when people are at their weakest in hospitals, police stations, government offices where they go seeking help. Now, police in Bengaluru has taken cognizance of this incident, and an inquiry has also been ordered into this incident. But really, what needs to change at a time when the father should have been allowed to grieve in peace? He was made to beg and pay just to complete basic formalities. If this is what I faced, he asked, what should the poor do? That's what should really make us all reflect. Joining us now to talk more about this, we have Prashant GS, spokesperson of the BJP. We have Samruddh Hegde, spokesperson of the Congress Party. We have R.K. Upadhyay, senior journalist. Thank you all of you for being part of this broadcast. Prashant GS, many would say that this is something that happens in several parts of the country. Why do you think it's the Congress government that's responsible for this?
Vasudha, firstly, we have to definitely empathize with what Mr. Shivkumar have gone through at a time when he was grieving for his daughter's death, to be troubled by corrupt people around him to say you have to pay bribe at every stage. Probably we are not even able to understand what he would have gone through at that point in time. It was probably not about money, but the system that failed him. And though I am not wanting to politicize the issue or make it a Congress versus BJP, one thing I want to point out at large is that corruption has been rampant ever since Congress took over here, because you have had scam after scam and the ministers taking pride in their scams. So therefore, probably every from top to bottom, the indication that the low level officer or the ward boy or the ambulance driver or the police constable get is that it is okay to be corrupt because the top brass is corrupt. No action is being taken against corrupt ministers.
Okay.
In fact, they'll be rewarded by with higher posts. Therefore, this is spread. If
right. Samruddh Hegde, is it impunity at the highest level, lack of accountability? Because so many ministers are also facing corruption charges, that people at lower echelons of the government feel it's completely okay to take bribes, especially from a father who is still battling the death of his only child, and she was just a 34-year-old. So clearly the shock was so much to bear, and then he has to go through this.
This is more than disheartening. It is absolutely infuriating. Bengaluru has lost.
Samruddh, Prashant GS, I'll come back to you. Let Samruddh respond. I'll come back to you. Samruddh Hegde. Yes.
Okay.
This is more than disheartening. It is absolutely infuriating. Bengaluru has lost a brilliant young mind with immense promise. And instead of remembering Akshaya's talent, today we are forced to discuss how her father, in the hour of deepest grief, was made to suffer at every step and endure indignity. And when a grieving father is extorted, the system itself should bow down its head in shame. While preventive action should always have been operative, urgent, prompt and curative action has been taken by the Karnataka government. The government has assured all possible support to Mr. Shivkumar. The commissioner has spoken to Mr. Shivkumar personally. The sub-inspector and constable concerned have been suspended immediately. The DCP has initiated a preliminary inquiry, And we assure you that more heads will roll and this issue will not be buried quietly.
Okay.
We will not allow this issue to fade away just as just another incident, because if corruption continues to feed on grief, we lose our very sense of humanity.
Okay,
And this is
absolutely.
not a
R.K.
Congress
Upadhyay, because
versus
I'm completely
BJP.
out of time here. R.K. Upadhyay, just because two police officers have been suspended, I want to ask you, the question is, how many others go through this pain silently? Because this was a man who has worked in the public sector. Aksha's death was well known. You know, I mean, everybody on Twitter saw this happening. Everybody was very sad about her passing away, that too suddenly. How is this issue resonating, striking a chord with the people of Bengaluru?
So I think the ordeal that Bharat Petroleum officer Shivkumar has gone through is not an isolated case. I mean, we have been seeing this kind of a thing happening, around, and I think because he, publicized an X, it has come to light. But this is routinely happening, and the corruption in Karnataka has become so prevalent that people take it for granted that this kind of thing can go on. I mean, I don't know why in this particular case it was a normal death, due to brain hemorrhage, and a medical certificate given by a doctor should have been enough. Why did the police insist on an FIR? Why did they insist on a postmortem? I don't understand. I mean, and taking money on top of that. I mean, FIR is a right of every citizen who goes and files a complaint. So in this case, they should have given the FIR.
So, Upadhyay, do you think that it would be better if we have local body elections, and for that, state and centre also have to be ready? Because I do feel that, a lot of cities in the country don't have any local body representatives, and that probably is also very important for the effective working of these civic bodies, isn't it, Mr. Upadhyay?
Absolutely. I mean, it's now, I think, 6 or 8 years since political body, the local body elections have been held, and for some excuse or other, it has been postponed. And we don't even know whether it will be held in December. That's what they were talking about.
Right,
It.
right.
The division of voter list is going on, and then all this, census and all those things is going to come up. I don't know whether it's
Prashant GS, you're saying that the priorities of the state government are completely wrong, which is why there is insensitivity at every level of governance. How would you say that is the case?
Pardon?
See, Vasudha, when you know that the top brass is corrupt, the ministers who are corrupt are getting away, and you look at the vulgar display of wealth that was found out when KC Virendra was raided, the amount of corrupt money he had with him, and the Muda scam, all of us are aware, the Valmiki scam when the minister resigned, and you had the housing scam unearthed, and the economic advisor to the CM has spoken about a sand mafia scam of 400 crores, which means if people within the government are talking about the scams happening and how people are being looted, don't you think that the personnel lower down the cadre would think it's their right to extort money, because which is what their bosses are doing.
Okay.
Which is why the Congress has to set its priorities right, has to ensure that the corruption menace should stop, and it must stop from the top. You can't expect a lowest level officer to stop, but whereas the ministers want to
right, we will ask for solutions from R.K. Upadhyay, but Samruddh Hegde, Prashant GS is pointing to something very important. Are there too many distractions for the state government in Karnataka, because of which it's not really able to take governance seriously, which is why people are taking it for granted at every level of governance?
The whole the focus politically is now on whether
Mr. Hegde, respond to that. R.K. Upadhyay, I'll just come to you in just a minute. Samruddh Hegde, yes.
Mr. Prashant GS has made wild, baseless allegations, none of which have been proved, and all of them. And this is coming for all of these. Sir, I didn't disturb you.
Advisor to the CM
Sir,
makes
have some
claim
etiquette.
that 400
Sir, have some
scam
etiquette.
is happening, and you
Sir, have some basic etiquette.
Let him finish. Prashant, let him finish. Samruddh Hegde, finish. Yeah, Samruddh Hegde.
You cannot get away by peddling lies on national media to say that.
Okay, Prashant, you had your chance. Let Samruddh Hegde respond.
Figures and numbers.
Yeah, Samruddh Hegde, respond.
Please have some etiquette, sir. Listen to me. These are all wild allegations coming from a 40% government, from a chief minister who had paid 1,000 crores at the time to become CM. But this is not about Congress or BJP. This is a father, sir.
Okay, let's just have Hegde. Yes, Mr. Hegde. Yes.
Let us be clear. This is not about Congress or BJP. A father didn't lose his daughter to politics. A father lost his daughter to a corrupt system, an insensitive system, and
No,
that
we
is
can't
what
have
we
a
need to
faceless
fix.
system.
I am,
There
I
are
am
faces
not,
to it. There needs to
I
be
am not
accountability
going
for
to,
this,
I
right?
am not going, Asudha, I am not going to compare Mr. Shivkumar's pain to anyone else because pain cannot
Yes.
be a political soundbite. But in Karnataka, when somebody speaks up, we act and we listen. Unlike in other states where exploitation is ignored or buried. Here we have acted swiftly,
So just because
promptly,
you
and
have been proactive doesn't mean that these cases are not happening. R.K. Upadhyay, what is the solution to this, sir? What kind of reforms do we need, and what should the state government need to get right, at least for now? Because this case should be an eye opener, isn't it?
Well, first of all, the corruption should stop at the top level. I don't know how it can be done when the DCM and CM are openly fighting for the CM's post, and they're not bothered about the administration. I mean, I can also talk about how the corruption has seeped into every section of every activity of the government, and construction in Bangalore city has come to a complete halt because there is so much of corruption that's going on. Apart from the regular corruption that was there, now there is what is called as a DCM tax. 10% additionally than whatever they're being paid earlier.
Right.
So because of that, many of the builders have stopped constructions, including the apartments and even the independent houses.
Right.
The work has come to a halt.
Right.
That is the level of corruption that is there in Karnataka.
Okay.
This man is talking about 40% corruption. Now everybody is talking about 60% corruption.
Corruption in Karnataka, an evolving debate, something that we'll keep going back to. Thank you all of you for joining us on this broadcast.